Bill, what was your initial reaction again? You texted me when you watched this video.
My first reaction was I immediately thought of the reporter in Alaska who quit live on air, the F it, I quit lady.
Yeah.
That was my first thought because I showed this video to my wife and almost immediately after you sent it to me, and my wife, she's been with me for 6 years. She knows the news business too. And she said, "Oh my God, that girl got fired before she got back to the live truck."
Right. I mean, they don't show us the end, like the anchor reaction or anything like that. So and we're going to play this for everybody in a second. And I also do have the F it, I quit original gangster of quitting live on television person at the end of this. But let's play this real fast and let everybody take a look. Because as far as we know, she wasn't, I mean, she had to have known, you know, there'd be consequences facing her. But I didn't hear her actually quit. I just heard her basically say, hey, I'm going to be blowing the whistle on my news employer, and stay tuned to Project Veritas. So here's the video real fast.
Across the region, Fox 26 reporter Ivory Hecker is live in Montgomery County to take a look at that aspect. Thanks, guys. That's right. Before we get to that story, I want to let you, the viewers, know that Fox Corp has been muzzling me to keep certain information from you, the viewers. And from what I'm gathering, I am not the only reporter being subjected to this. I am going to be releasing some recordings about what goes on behind the scenes at Fox because it applies to you, the viewers. I found a nonprofit journalism group called Project Veritas. It's going to put that out tomorrow, so tune into them. But as for this heat wave across Texas, you can see what it's doing to AC units.
And then she just goes to the AC unit. And the guy with the huge sweat mark on his back. Like, this is just totally normal.
I was 100% oblivious to the guy in the back in the beginning, but I think if he would have been paying attention, he'd have been like, "What she said? What?"
Oh my gosh, that is too funny. So I asked you, you know, is it possible this is a deep fake? Because I mean, honestly, I was just like, what just happened there? I mean, it's 2021, so I guess whatever, but come on, man. Like that caught me by surprise. I had to even look her up, and I'm going to show everybody, and you know, right now. Let's because this looks like her. You know.
Yeah, that's her bio. I looked it up as well. That's who she is.
And we should say for everybody that this is Houston. This is a really big market. This is not some Bumble market where you're starting your career. She's worked at CARE, which is one of like Tegna's, you know, most like crown jewel stations. So she has quite a career.
Yeah, and she worked at a station in Minneapolis. She worked at WLEX in Lexington. She's worked at, of course, she's at a Houston station now. So she's worked in 2 top 10, top 15 markets, depending on which DMA year you're going by. And this has got to be a huge blow to whoever, I guess, is in charge down there, because it's not just the station in Houston. She said Fox Corp. Okay. And I hope a lot of people caught that and didn't miss her saying Fox Corp. So that leads us to the next level on the road. Are we talking about, you know, Fox Corp that owns Fox News and all of that? I mean, what are we talking about? The company that owns it? Did you say Tegna owns the station in Houston?
No, Tegna owned this station, CARE, that she used to work at, which was like their crown jewel. So just to say, if like you worked at that station, I mean, you were at the top of your game. I mean, and Houston is a place where you go network after that. So like I said, this isn't just some 23-year-old, like, I want to do YouTube, so I'm going to screw up my career at 23 and, you know, just do one of those quit videos, right? This is somebody who's had quite a career. And I think you're right to pick up on that, on this, her saying this isn't Fox 26. She says specifically Fox Corp. So I don't know. You know, there's a lot of stuff happening. When would you say that the ownership company would have gotten involved in an editorial decision for some reason that would have been like this for you?
Well, as your producer is letting you know right now, the proper time for the ownership to get involved is come and gone, because the cat's out of the bag. Okay, the horses left the barn, cowboy. I firmly believe that, you know, they probably contacted her immediately because did you notice she had 2 phones in her hand? So obviously one was for work and one was her personal phone. And that's another innocuous little tip. She knew that the second this was happening, her phones, both of them, were going to be blowing up. She knew it. And she went into
and you like see her holding her phone for the live shot like we used to do, you know, because you'd like put your script in there and she's she's probably looking at her tag. And meanwhile, the news director's like, what the are you doing, girl? Like, unless they were all in on it. I mean, I don't know. Maybe they were like, dude, we're going to take down the ownership company. I don't know. It could be any number of things. But like I said, at first I was like, is this like,
is this real life
graphics? Yeah, like did somebody do an animation here? This is like a total deep fake. Like what's going on? I mean, though I should add, you know, there is precedent for this, right? And we did discuss this. So let's talk to
the OG.
Yeah, let's go to the OG real fast and just play this beautiful piece of footage from when was this? September 22nd, 2014.
Now, everything you heard is why I, the actual owner of the Alaska Cannabis Club, will be dedicating all of my energy toward fighting for freedom and fairness, which begins with legalizing marijuana here in Alaska. And as for this job, well, not that I have a choice, but fuck it, I quit. I apologize for that.
Now, see, that's what I wanted to see from the other video. I wanted the anchor reaction. That's the only negative about this. You know what I mean?
Oh, absolutely. No, I would have loved to have seen reaction. And maybe there was reaction, but you also got to remember, she did that in the tag, which for those of you that don't know, that was at the end of her live hit.
Right.
Whereas the reporter today, Ivory, whatever her name, she did that into the intro to her story. So they had I want to say probably a minute to 90 seconds for people to say in the control booth, okay, don't nobody have any reaction to that. Don't even address it. We'll let the proper people deal with it. So that's
Ivory Hecker.
That's her name. Yeah.
Yeah. So one last quick point to note. I was telling another friend in mainstream news still in the business about it. I sent her the video and she's like, what? And she's working with Project Veritas. And I guarantee you, no matter what comes out of this, a good portion of people in our old industry are going to just discredit everything she says because she's working with Project Veritas. I guarantee you.
I think I think maybe not as many as you are thinking. I think there's a few people that it's very quiet and very low on the hush that actually support Project Veritas. I actually just got off the phone with a friend of mine who's still in the business, and he said to me, and I'm telling you this almost verbatim, hopefully she busts FOX Corp and, you know, by extension, Fox News. And now that Veritas is not going after just liberal MSM, they're also targeting conservative mainstream media, that maybe this will start giving Project Veritas more credence and a little more street cred.
Maybe so. That's actually a good point I hadn't thought of before. So, well, it remains to be seen. Of course, the video does come from Project Veritas's YouTube channel, which at the recording of this still exists. So check out the link in the description. Hang on. Our producer's going to sign us out here.
I've already downloaded it. So.
What'd you say?
I've already downloaded it.
Okay. Yeah.
It's living forever.
And it will live on my many platforms, which I should add. Check out the links in the description for the platforms, everybody. And I guess that's it for now. Bill, thanks for coming back on to talk about this. Maybe this is going to become like the new thing, you know? After a while, it might just become, I don't know, there's no shock value to it anymore. But credit goes to the Alaska reporter who quit over cannabis. That was hardcore. And she paved the way for the rest of us. Though I will say, I obviously missed a great opportunity to quit in style because I just did like a normal last day look back at my career. Right. There was no controversy. I waited until after to start the controversy on YouTube. So here I am.
I think we definitely need to do a reaction when we see the Project Veritas video. You and I should come back for a reaction because she's got recordings. Let's see what happens.
Can you imagine what happens if people just start recording newsrooms from here on out? Like on one hand, I'm thinking, okay, it could be really good because people are going to have to be serious about how they talk in editorial meetings, you know, and really consider things. On the other hand, you know how people talk. You know what I mean? And like, it's like, people say things that, they wouldn't have necessarily wanted to represent them if they're just talking to people in a closed room where they think. So it may not necessarily always be the fairest, read on how a newsroom works but maybe it'll help in the long run. I don't know. If I were a news director, I'd be nervous. I would start to become a little bit nervous. And I hope that they would like rein in people and say, hey, I don't know if we have one of these reporters in our ranks that's going to be working with Project Veritas, so we should probably start doing real journalism. But so you laughed at that. So obviously we're not anywhere near that.
No, I laugh because I hear former news directors in my head saying that, hey, we might get exposed. Let's do real journalism now. And I could totally see it happening, especially.
That's so true. We might be exposed for what we are. So we should really start doing journalism. Journalists might expose us for
Journalism exposes journalism.
Wait, so it's not dead after all, because we've now become the news.
We've always asked, who watches the watchers?
Apparently now we know. And thank God, I will say, you know what? Thank God for new media so that we can all share these videos. So again, anyone wants to watch the entire thing, go to Project Veritas' channel, but I'll have the link in the description. Bill, thanks again. I love wine, and my favorite kind of wine is a high-altitude Argentinian Malbec. And now you can get 50% off some of my favorite bottles and 50% off shipping by visiting AllisonWinePromo.com. That's Allison with 1L, winepromo.com. These wines come from one of the most isolated winemaking regions in the world, with the Andes Mountains on one side and desert on the other. One of the Malbecs is from the third highest vineyard in the world at 8,950 feet. The reason I love these wines is the altitude means that the UV rays beating down on the grapes is making them work harder, and doctors I talk to say they have higher antioxidant properties. Again, it's AllisonWinePromo.com, Allison with 1L, winepromo.com.